Hey there, it's the brand therapist, Michelle B. Griffin, and welcome to your weekly personal brand therapy session. This is the podcast that helps solo experts like you get unstuck and get on your way with a brand that takes you places. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's session. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's personal branding therapy session. I'm the brand therapist, Michelle B. Griffin. So last week we talked about what is too personal. So many of us want to step out, but that roadblock of, oh my goodness, I have to be too personal gets us. Well, on the flip side, today is about what's too professional. Or rather, how do I share what I know that isn't boring and actually makes people really want to listen, engage, and start following us, and ultimately start conversations. As I alluded to in last week's episode, when I introduced the concept that I've had for a couple years now called professional, the combination of being personable and professional, I mentioned that in an upcoming episode, I would tell you all about LinkedIn's new algorithm updates that's really pushing insights. And for personal brands and for those building their thought leadership and their business, this is perfect. Now, I want to share some of the tidbits that my LinkedIn creator manager, Jeremy Clayton, shared with us in his creator manager community a couple weeks ago. He hosts office hours for us monthly, and so I want to share this and have his permission so you can understand what is professional content. How do you share what you know, and how do you not sound promotional? Because that's also another turnoff, right? We're so scared to show up online because we think we'll sound promotional. And for those who are growing businesses, we of course need to show up and share our insights, but we also have to share how we can solve problems and help others. So these tidbits I'm going to give you are really going to help you. And then I'm going to tell you why having a point of view, a standout point of view is what I call it, is vital in today's age of AI. So here we go. Here are some of the things you need to know about how to share your professional insights in a way that's engaging and starts conversations. So a couple months ago, LinkedIn came out, and I'll link into the show notes with an algorithm update. And many of us here are on LinkedIn, sharing our expertise, building our businesses, building our brands, and all the things. And this is great news because now the stuff that we know and can share is what LinkedIn wants us to share. So they're now putting a greater focus on professional insights, ideas, and inspiration. Okay, that is perfect. So you don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I really just want to share what I know to help others. I don't want to do selfies and all the crazy things that we have seen when LinkedIn was starting to sound like the Facebook of business. And it's not just how-to content. I want to stress this, not how-to content. How I do this, how we do this, how I think of this is important. Now, LinkedIn tells us that they really would love to see insights on trends happening in your industry or your area of expertise. And there's always something happening in the news, a new study, a new something that you can relate about and then share your thoughts on that. That's so important and helps us really resonate with that right person we're here to reach. They also say tutorials and tips for building new skills. Now, that sounds a little bit how-to. And I do say that is still really good to have how-to content because we want to know that you know your stuff. But if that's all you're saying all the time, then we're losing sight of how you think of it, your lessons learned, and also, how you've helped others. That's another take on why how I do this content really helps build relatability and social proof. And then, of course, advice and tips for landing a new job. Now, that a lot would be in the career space, but if you're an entrepreneur and expert like many of the listeners here, advice on tips in your business will always go far to those in your industry and also those you can help. So keep that in mind. Now, promotional content. There's also times that we're wanting to share promotional content. And that's not always sales as buy my product, buy my service. That could be stuff like we want people to sign up for our newsletter, to attend our LinkedIn audio or LinkedIn live event, to attend our training, to attend our event. LinkedIn views promotional content as anything that falls under announcements, press articles, more show than tell type content, and campaign launches without insights and learnings. So I have always said maybe an 80-20 split or maybe a 75-25 split. And now what do I mean by that? What I mean is 75 to 80% of the time, maybe even 90, depending on who you are, what you do, and what you have to offer, share value. Now, I know that's a cliche that needs to be in Michelle's jargon jar, but value is insights, thought-provoking things, lessons learned. Those are all things that are not having someone take an action. It's helping someone get to a better place, learn something new. So maybe do that 75 to 90% of the time, and then promotional content has its place. And people will know and expect when you're sharing all your insights, of course, they're going to see promotional content. We do it all the time, but keep your balances in check. Now, one of the other things, LinkedIn is really looking for industry insights, advice that you have. What did you see today, last week? You attended an event and this is what you took away. Of course, there's always going to be a place for thought leadership type content and key takeaways and keyword. So you're going to help your reader and you're going to be seen as more thoughtful and insightful by sharing your takeaways. So there's a place for using content from other people, but sharing your takeaways. The way I like to structure my content is I always start with a problem or an insight. I get juicy into some of the takeaways, and then I always ask a question. Occasionally, I'll have a TLDR, so if people scan, which they do, they can see the takeaway on what you're trying to communicate. Because as we know, we want to share insights, but brevity is our friend when you post. Now, if you want to go deeper, an article or newsletter are very much in line and perfect for longer depth content. So ask yourself and tell your readers, what is the takeaway? Give me the Cliff Note version, and I promise you're going to start being seen with more insightful content if you give your takeaway. Now, you can certainly use quotes, and one thing, which I'm about to jump into, he says, add your unique point of view. I call it your standout point of view, and I'm going to tell you in a minute why personal branding and personal brands who are sharing and stepping out need a standout point of view. So before we get into that, I just want to thank Jeremy and the creator manager community I'm in for letting me share this with you, because we all want to be seen as the experts in our space, but sometimes it's really hard to communicate that. So these guidelines have been tremendous. So I hope that helps you today realize, wow, I need to share my expertise. Last week it was about personal, but really personable. But on the flip side, we have to be seen as the expert, the go-to that solves problems. And the only way to do that is with content, is stepping out, sharing your unique perspectives and ideas and insights, learnings, and even failures. Content is the currency of our brands, but always lace it with your standout point of view. Remember, personal branding, we're sharing our story. We're communicating who we are, what we stand for, and who we are here for. And so your content should stay in that lane. It should speak to those people. But what makes your brand different? Your thoughts and insights. What are you for? And what are you against? So keep that in mind as you build your personal brand. It's okay to have a point of view. It's okay to question the status quo. And it's actually a good thing, because the right people will take notice. Personal branding is to help us stand out and not be that commodity, that vanilla. When you're crafted in your lane, you are going to resonate. The right people come to you, the right people don't. And so that's why having a point of view in your content is so important. So let's recap. Last week was all about what's too personal. Today, it's all about how do I share my insights so people know I know my stuff? And also, how do I balance and why I need to have a standout point of view in my content? So let's talk about today's actionable session lesson. I want you to start thinking about what your standout point of view is and what you want to communicate. Now, when I work with my clients, we get really clear on that. And I know it's not so easy if you're doing this kind of the tail end, but these questions will start the process and help you think. Ask yourself these 3 questions in whatever industry you are in right now. I want you to consider and write down, because it always is more important when you write down, what is something in your industry that is upsetting to you? An injustice that people are telling everyone and it's just all wrong. Like, what really lights you up? Like, no, that is so not it. Write that down. What is something that makes you so sad that you would stand on a soapbox and chat about it? This fires you up. I want you to write that down. And this is in the context of your industry and the problem you solve. And the third thing is, what is it that you want to see changed in your industry or that you could change yourself? Something that is just so wrong and off right now in your particular area, write that down. Sometimes if we know the negative or something that emotionally drives us, that's going to start you thinking. Because you're going to take those and get those into your standout point of view, and more importantly, your standout message, which is what I help my clients do. As always, let me know how today's episode resonated, what action you took, because building your personal brand is so important. It's not a one and done. It's a consistent action, but it's also something you need to be accountable for. Reach out to me. Let me know. I would love to hear. And if you have a question, a topic, or an idea that you would like me to address, I would love for you to reach out and let me know. So that's it for this week's personal branding therapy session, my friends. I will catch you next week. Take care.
That's a wrap for today's brand therapy session. Need help with your personal branding journey? Then head on over to thebrandtherapist.io and grab my free resources to get going today with your brand. And until next time, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. Take care, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.